All right, welcome to today's lesson. We're going to be talking about the postcard assignment. The sheets have been loaded up on the classroom for you. In this PDF, it kind of walks you through on what we're going to be doing. In this lesson, we're going to be learning how to set up a postcard that will meet the U.S. postal regulations. We'll also be working with the client on this particular one. So we've got some of the information already provided for us on what needs to be on the postcard. But the other portion of it, the actual designing of it, is going to be your responsibility. So other things we're going to be talking about within here, or design requirements for it, is an address area, return address, postage, critical party information, high quality graphics, design principles, proper color, and font choice. So let's take a quick look at the example right here. I particularly like this one. It does a very good job of getting a message across. You are not going to be able to use more than 3 fonts. That's going to be our maximum. I think 2 is probably a really good choice to go with. But then once you have your 2 chosen, you can go ahead and start working with the styles in the characters panel to start working on different pieces and practice the stuff we learned last week. If you take a look at Special Offer and compare it to at Public Square, it's the same font. One is bold, one is not. And the Special Offers also has tracking being done to it, which is letter spacing. So it's increasing the amount of space that is between each one there, giving it a different feel, although it is the same font. We also have a decorative font being used to bring emphasis to what it is. They've created a nice little drop shadow behind it. They've got some nice solid banners in which the type is being put on top of to create nice contrast between the foreground and background. So those themes are kind of seen throughout the examples that we gave to you there. Project requirements, if you're going to be working with creating your own graphics or modifying stuff that you find off the internet, you can always use Illustrator and Photoshop to do that. If you're going to be using Photoshop, just remember that you are saving your stuff correctly. Save it as a PSD. Make sure you got the right resolution so that it prints well. But in the end, everything will be placed into InDesign. We're going to be using that for the page layout portion of our postcard. So inside of that document, we're going to have a bleed line, a final size line, or trim size, and then a text safe area. So let's go take a quick look at that document real fast. We can get those vocabs out of the way. You're going to be creating a 2-page document, so it'll look kind of something like this. The front is the critical information side of the postcard. You've got a bleed line, which is where your graphics need to extend to. It's going to be a 1/4 inch larger than the final trim size. Our final trim size is 4x6, which is going to be the document window in InDesign. Then you've got your text safe area, which is technically your margin that you're going to be creating. But none of your important information should hang out side of that window. The reason we chose 4x6 is that it falls within the mandated size that the post office has created for a postcard. In order not to be assessed any extra charges for sorting, you can have a minimum height of 3.5 by 5 and a maximum of 4.25 by 6. So we're just going to go with a 4x6 postcard on this particular assignment. On the back side of the postcard, you've got areas that can be used. You don't necessarily have to have the return address, but that is the area in which it should sit if you're going to have one. You've got the mailing address, which is needed, and then you've got the postage stamp holder up there in the corner. Let's talk about this real quick. Just note that it's on half. So if you don't want to have the return address piece there and you want to use that for more critical information, we've got 3 good examples here of how that kind of looks. You can use that spot for more party information or event information that's taking place. I really like how the second and the third option here kind of use that space. They've put a dividing line into there to kind of separate the 2 out. And then they've also used this solid block here in order to create contrast so that they can write on top of. You notice that all 3 of them have the same thing taking place. They've all got their writing lines for the handwritten address area. They've got a postage stamp area. And they're also free of image within inside of those areas there. It makes it much easier for the post office to sort the mail and make sure that it ends up at the correct destination. So back up to the top. Who are we creating this postcard for? Our client is the Chamber of Commerce for Rockton. The project is you're creating an informational postcard about an upcoming winter event that will be mailed to the residents of Rockton and the surrounding community. This festival will feature all different kinds of winter activities, and feel free to explore different options and highlight them on the postcard. You definitely are going to have to do some research in order to make sure you are meeting the needs of the client. They do have a Facebook page for this event. I would also suggest going out and taking a look at Janesville's, Beloit's, and Rockford's upcoming winter options that they've got going on. There are some must-haves for the postcard. You got to have the date, the location, the website, the Facebook, the Instagram, and then highlight a couple of the different events that are listed on the Facebook calendar. So how do we set this document up? If we come down to this one here, it's going to be like a 6x4, like I said earlier. It's going to have 2 pages. Facing pages does need to be turned off, and we're going to have a margin and a bleed to create those different lines that we need for the final size of our postcard. You're also going to be required to create different layers. These layers are going to be utilized throughout the project, and you will be graded on them. You can have a postage, mailer area, party info or event information, and a background image. So let's go take a look at InDesign and create a document real fast. So file new, and we come in here and we can see it needs to be a 6x4, 2 pages. Facing pages has been turned off. We got our margins and we have our bleed. So let's create that real fast. If we back up, we can see that we've got 2 pages there. We also go to our pages panel and see we got pages 1, pages 2. So you do have a few options on layout. The back side of the postcard, the side where the address is, does need to stay in the landscape orientation, but you're more than welcome to work in portrait if you want to for the front. Currently, both options are in landscape. We need to take one of them and turn them into portrait. So we can go to the view menu and we can go to rotate spread, and we rotate it. If we back up, you'll see that the entire spread has changed orientation. So just note that it's over here in the pages panel as well. When you go to print, it automatically flips it back over so it can print double-sided correctly. Let's talk about layers real quick. If you don't see your layers panel, you can go to the Windows and Layers, pull that up. We are going to want to have multiple layers in this. For this activity, I'm just going to do a shapes layer. So shapes, click OK. And then on layer 2, we're going to do a text layer just to demonstrate how to move things around. So when I come in here, I'm going to make a shape real fast, double click this, get a color into it, and I'm going to get some text up here so we can just kind of see what's taking place. Now I've got a shape and I've got some color with color in it, and I've also got a piece of text. They were both created in the text layer by accident, so we need to get the shape into the shape layer. Also, one thing to point out is that the bounding box currently around the text is red because it's in the red layer. Same thing with the shape. So I select the shape. You can see the shape has got a target icon next to it. I'm going to click and drag that target icon and drop it into the shapes layer. And you'll now see that the bounding box is blue because it is now sitting within inside of the shapes layer. So that is an easy way to organize your stuff. It works that way in Illustrator as well, so hopefully it looks familiar. If you're not working on a layer, I suggest locking it so you can't mess it up. It's just good practice. So the last piece is sourcing graphics to go with your document. So if I go out to the internet real fast, and I'm going to go to Storyblocks, and at Storyblocks I typed in holiday, and I found a graphic that I like. Storyblocks, by the way, you do need to use the classroom code to get into it. It is a site that we pay for, so make sure you're finding that inside of the PDF handout. You got 2 options most times. You have an EPS version of the file or you have a JPEG. The EPS is probably the better option. It's our vector version. So what we're able to do with this is come in here. I want to steal the trees and the presents. I don't need anything else that's in there. So download it as an EPS. Head over to Illustrator, open it up, and take a look at it. Clicking on it once with my selection tool is going to show me that it is grouped, so I need to ungroup it. Right click again and ungroup. So you just got to keep on ungrouping it until you find that there's no more ungrouping as an option. Do a drag select over the pieces that you do not want to keep, and then you can resize your artboard if you would like and save that file and place it into InDesign, or you can select them and you can copy them. This is the only type of file you can copy and paste into InDesign. So every other type of file needs to be placed. A vector is the only one that can be copy and pasted over. Oops, I'm trying to paste into a locked layer, and I just made a mistake, right? There we go. Is it in the right layer? Yeah, we're good. So I can resize that to fit it a little bit better if I want. Make it so it fits in my bleeds. There we go. That looks good. Move it down a little bit. And W. So that's in my preview mode. That's what it looked like when it's going to be trimmed. The other thing I suggest is creating color themes, right? So if I go File, Paste, Control D, I got this little image here. I'm going to put that on my document. I want to pull colors from there and create a color scheme. So I select it as an object. I come over and I get my eyedropper color theme tool. I click on my image, and you can see that it has given me a set of 5 colors that it's pulled from that picture. I like this one. I can then add it to my swatches panel. And then when I click on my swatches, you'll see it sitting right down here as dark theme. If you don't like using swatches that way, you can always go up to the window, color, and you can either do a color theme if you want to search for one that way, or you can click on swatches and you can see your swatches pop up right there. From here, you just got to now start designing your postcard. Keep your clients' needs in mind. They're probably looking for a target audience of family, so that probably has young children with it. So keep your designs for that age group of people and activity. And that's about it. Good luck. Have fun.